The kitchen's secret the pots in Nikolai's restaurant. Earthly delights bubbled with exotic spices from 3 different solar systems. The most popular eatery on Nexus Station, it attracted beings from across the galaxy. But its real secret wasn't the food, it was Tessa, the Solarian assistant. Nikolai wiped his hands on his apron and checked the dinner service schedule. The restaurant was empty during the station's artificial night cycle, perfect for tomorrow's preparations. The ambient hum of life support systems and distant shuttle traffic created a peaceful backdrop. "Tessa, did you finish the Aldebaran sauce?" Nikolai called out, not seeing her in the main kitchen. When no answer came, he walked toward the storage room. A soft sound stopped him, something between a whisper and a sob. Nikolai peered around the corner and saw Tessa. Her 4 slender arms were wrapped around herself. Her luminous skin flickering with sad blue patterns. Tears like tiny crystals fell from her opalescent eyes. "Tessa," he said softly. She startled, immediately straightening. "I apologize, Nikolai. I was ... distracted." Her voice was musical as always, but strained. 2 of her hands quickly wiped away the tears, while her other arms reached for cooking utensils. "What's wrong?" Nikolai stepped closer, noticing dark markings on her forearms that hadn't been there yesterday. "It's nothing," she insisted, but the patterns on her skin pulsed in contradiction. Solarians couldn't lie, their bioluminescent markings revealed their emotions. "Those are bruises," Nikolai said, gently taking one of her hands. "Who did this to you?" Tessa trembled. "Please don't ask. My handler visited today. My contract renewal is tomorrow." "Contract? I thought you chose to work here," Nikolai said, confused. Tessa's eyes dimmed. "No Solarian chooses their work. She hesitated, assigned." Nikolai felt something cold settle in his stomach. Assigned by whom? The hegemony. The name hung in the air like a curse. The powerful interstellar empire controlled dozens of star systems. Yet humans had limited dealings with them since Earth joined the Galactic community only 30 years ago. "Tessa, are you saying you're forced to work here?" Her luminescence dimmed further. "My people are empaths. We feel and enhance emotions. The hegemony values this ability, so they utilize us." "That sounds like slavery," Nikolai said, voice hardening. "The hegemony calls it specialized labor allocation," Tessa replied. "Tomorrow, my handler returns to renew my work mandate. And those bruises?" I hesitated when following an order. Her voice was barely audible. "Hesitation requires correction." Nikolai's hands trembled with rage. On Earth, slavery had been abolished centuries ago. He'd thought such barbaric practices were long behind civilized species. "This isn't right," he said finally, "and I won't allow it to continue." Tessa's eyes widened in fear. "You cannot interfere. The hegemony is too powerful." Nikolai smiled grimly. "My grandmother had a saying, 'Tyrants seem invincible until someone stands up to them.'" He squeezed her hand gently. "And tomorrow someone will." Chains of light morning arrived with the station's lighting shifting from night blue to soft gold. Nikolai hadn't slept. Instead, he'd spent hours researching the hegemony's labor practices on the station's database. What he found sickened him. Dozens of species were classified as service-oriented races, a euphemism for what was effectively indentured servitude. The Solarians were particularly valued for their empathic abilities to create optimized emotional environments. "You cannot challenge them," Tessa insisted, her skin flickering with anxiety patterns as she prepared breakfast. "Humans have protection agreements, but interfering with hegemony property laws would void those protections." "Property laws?" Nikolai asked sharply. Tessa hesitated, then turned around. With trembling fingers, she brushed aside the iridescent hair at the nape of her neck. A small device was embedded there, glowing with a sickly yellow light. "Neural compliance implant," she explained. "It ensures we fulfill our designated functions." Nikolai stepped closer, examining the cruel device. "Does it hurt?" "Only when we ... resist." The restaurant's entry chime interrupted them. Tessa's skin paled to near-Weta Solarian expression of terror. "Ow." "He's early." She whispered. The hegemony representative wore an immaculate gray uniform adorned with symbolic rank markers. His species resembled terrestrial reptiles, with scaled skin and vertical pupils. "I am Overseer Drax," he announced without preamble. "I've come to process the renewal for Cellarian Unit 7249. Her name is Tessa," Nikolai said coldly. The Overseer blinked slowly. "Designation is irrelevant." "Step aside, human." Nikolai didn't move. "She's not property. She's a person, and she works here voluntarily from now on." The Overseer's hand moved to a device on his belt. "This is a regulatory matter beyond your jurisdiction. The Solarian unit is due for maintenance and reassignment."
"Oh, reassignment?"
Nikolai looked at Tessa. "Please," she whispered, luminescent patterns shifting to deep indigo fear. "Don't make trouble. Unit's empathic ratings have declined," Drax stated clinically. "It will be reconditioned for more suitable duties." Nikolai stepped forward. "She's staying here." The Overseer's expression didn't change as he activated his device. Immediately, Tessa collapsed with a cry of pain. The implant at her neck pulsing brightly, something snapped inside Nikolai. Before Drax could react, Nikolai's fist connected with the Overseer's jaw, sending him sprawling. The control device skittered across the floor. Tessa stared in shock as Nikolai helped her to her feet. "What have you done?" she gasped. Nikolai crushed the control device under his heel. "Something I should have done the moment I saw you crying." "They'll hunt us now," she whispered. "Then we'd better not be here when they come looking," Nikolai replied, grabbing his emergency pack from beneath the counter. On the floor, Drax stirred, reaching for his communicator. Nikolai kicked it away. "How could you assault an Imperial official?" Tessa asked, trembling. Nikolai smiled grimly. "Humans have a history of fighting oppression. It's in our blood." The rebellions embered the underbelly of Nexus Station was a labyrinth of maintenance tunnels, forgotten storage bays, and shadowy marketplaces where station regulations were merely suggestions. Nikolai led Tessa through this maze, calling in favors from old friends who owed him. "We need to deactivate your implant," Nikolai said as they huddled in a hidden alcove. "Do you know anyone who could help?" Tessa's luminescence pulsed uncertainly. "There are rumors of a doctor, a Terran who helps our kind, but finding her is dangerous, more dangerous than being hunted by the hegemony." A small smile flickered across Tessa's face. "You are stubborn even for a human. It's one of our better qualities," Nikolai replied. Gently brushing a strand of luminous hair from her face, their moment was interrupted by a low whistle from the shadows. Nikolai tensed, positioning himself protectively in front of Tessa. "Easy, Earthborn," came a raspy voice. A tall figure emerged, vaguely humanoid, but with 4 eyes and skin like polished obsidian. "I'm Horvik. Heard you're looking for the doctor. Can you take us to her?" Nikolai asked cautiously. "That depends. Why should I trust you?" Tessa stepped forward, her skin glowing softly. Because he did this, she projected an empathic memory, Unkolai confronting the Overseer, destroying the control device. Jorvik's 4 eyes widened. "You struck a hegemony official? Either you're incredibly brave or dangerously foolish." "Probably both," Nikolai admitted. Jorvik laughed. "Follow me." They descended through abandoned sections of the station, eventually reaching a sealed door marked with a symbol. Nikolai didn't recognize a broken chain entwined with a stylized DNA helix. Inside, they found not just a doctor, but an entire underground network. Aliens of various species worked at computer terminals, manufactured counterfeit documents, and tended to others bearing the same neural implants as Tessa. "Welcome to the Ember," said a silver-haired human woman, stepping forward. "I'm Dr. Hanover. You've taken quite a risk coming here." "We had little choice," Nikolai explained. "Tessa's implant? Yes, I can see it," Dr. Hanover interrupted, examining the device. "Newer model. Nasty piece of work, but removable." She gestured them toward a medical area. "We can help." As Dr. Hanover prepared for the procedure, Tessa gripped Nikolai's hand tightly. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "You're risking everything for me." Nikolai's eyes softened. "Because where I come from, freedom isn't negotiable." And because, he hesitated, I care about you, Tessa, more than I probably should. The patterns on Tessa's skin shifted to a warm rose gold color Nikolai had never seen before. That's the first time I felt someone's emotions match their words completely, she whispered, leaning closer to him. Their lips met softly. A gentle kiss that felt like the beginning of something profound. We'll need to move quickly after the extraction, Dr. Hanover interrupted. The hegemony will detect the implant's deactivation. We have a freighter leaving for the outer colonies in 3 hours. We're not running, Nikolai said firmly. We're fighting back. Hearts across stars, the plan was audacious, perhaps suicidal. The hegemony's central judicial station orbited a neutron star in the Arcturus system, a massive complex where interstellar laws were interpreted and enforced. Infiltrating it seemed impossible, yet that was exactly what they intended. The station processes data from every neural implant in hegemony space, explained Jorvik, displaying holographic schematics. If we can access the central core and broadcast the truth about these labor contracts, we might force a public reckoning. And if we fail? Asked Tessa, her luminescence now unbound, shifting through colors that reflected her emotions with unfettered clarity. Then we die trying, Nikolai replied. Squeezing her hand, their stolen shuttle approached the judicial station, disguised as a diplomatic courier. Dr. Hanover had provided perfect forgeries. While Jorvik's team had hacked the identification protocols, the ruse worked. They docked without incident. As they navigated the station's sterile corridors, Tessa suddenly pulled Nikolai into an empty conference room. What if this is our last moment together? She whispered, her forearms encircling him. It won't be, Nikolai promised. Though they both knew the odds they faced, Tessa's skin glowed with a deep crimson that spread across her body like fire. My people don't give themselves easily, she said softly. But when we do, it is completely. Their bodies came together in an intimate dance of light and shadow. Tessa's empathic nature created a feedback loop of sensation and emotion that transcended physical boundaries. Their minds touched as their bodies joined, an experience of connection so profound it left Nikolai breathless. I love you, he whispered against her luminous skin. Whatever happens next, I you, she responded, her inner light pulsing in time with her heartbeat. Now, and across stars, reality intruded all too soon. They rejoined their team and continued toward the central data core. Using stolen credentials, they bypassed several security checkpoints before reaching the massive processing chamber. We have 10 minutes before the next security sweep, Jorvik warned as they connected their data spike to the main terminal. As Tessa uploaded the evidence records of forced implantation, punishment protocols, even mortality statistics alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. We've been discovered, Dr. Hanover shouted. Keep uploading, Nikolai ordered, drawing the compact blaster they'd acquired. We just need a few more minutes. The first security forces appeared at the chamber entrance, weapons raised. Nikolai and Jorvik returned fire, creating a defensive position around Tessa and the doctor. Upload complete, Tessa announced. Broadcasting now to all Galactic Union channels. Security forces closed in, the chamber's main view screen suddenly activated. The evidence was already streaming across every communication channel in the sector. The truth about the hegemony's systematic enslavement was now public knowledge, but their victory came at a price. Surrounded and outgunned, they were quickly overwhelmed and captured. Was it worth it? Tessa asked, as they were led away in restraints. Nikolai smiled despite his bruised face. We lit the fire. Now let's see what burns. The Law of Compassion, the Galactic Union Tribunal, was convened within days. An unprecedented response to the evidence they had broadcast. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to witness the proceedings, with billions more watching via quantum feeds. Nikolai and Tessa stood before the council, still technically prisoners, but now the center of a diplomatic firestorm. The hegemony demanded their execution for espionage and terrorism. Numerous other worlds called for their immediate release as heroes. The accused will speak, announced the chief arbiter, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical shell. Nikolai stepped forward, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. Members of the tribunal, I stand before you not as a revolutionary, but as someone who simply couldn't ignore suffering. When I found Tessa crying in my kitchen, I discovered something the hegemony has hidden for centuries: the systematic enslavement of sentient beings. The hegemony representative hissed. These are internal regulatory matters. The human has no standing. No standing. Nikolai's voice rose. When did compassion require legal standing? When did basic dignity become a jurisdictional question? He gestured toward Tessa, who stepped forward to join him. Look at her. The hegemony calls her property. I call her the woman I love. Which of us is right? That's the only question that matters today. Murmurs spread through the assembled delegates. Tessa took Nikolai's hand, her skin glowing with a soft, determined light. I was born into service, she addressed the tribunal, her musical voice carrying through the chamber. I never questioned it because the neural implant punished questions. But Nikolai showed me what freedom feels like, not just physically, but here. She touched her heart. No law can justify taking that from any sentient being. The chamber fell silent. Even the hegemony representative had no immediate response. Finally, the chief arbiter spoke. The evidence presented is disturbing. The Galactic Union was founded on principles of mutual respect among sentient species. These practices violate our most fundamental tenets. After hours of deliberation, the tribunal rendered its historic decision. The practice of neural compliance implants was declared illegal across all Galactic Union space. The Solarians and all other enslaved species would be emancipated immediately. As the chamber erupted in commotion, Nikolai turned to Tessa. Her luminescence had shifted to a brilliant gold-pure joy. What happens now? She asked softly. Whatever we want, Nikolai replied, drawing her close. That's what freedom means. Months later, they stood together on the observation deck of their new Vasilla, small but well-appointed ship christened the Kitchen Secret. Tessa's people were rebuilding their society with help from human advisors, while the hegemony faced sanctions and reparation demands. Do you ever regret it? Tessa asked, her forearms encircling Nikolai as they watched a nebula unfold before them. Standing up that day, Nikolai kissed her glowing cheek. Some choices define us. That was mine. Tessa's luminescence pulsed with love as they drifted among the stars. Two beings who had changed the course of interstellar law because one couldn't bear to see the other cry.